guys, welcome back. Today we're going to be working on another comprehensive color blending video. This can be found in the Comprehensive Color Blending 2 series, and the link is in my description. The picture that we're going to be working on today is the red rose. Now there are 3 roses in the comprehensive color blending course. This is the easier of the 3. Roses are a little bit different, and we're going to spend a lot more time working on prep. Up until this point, I've been showing you how to do the intricate details. Today I'm going to show you a little bit more when it comes to doing prep on the picture. Out of all the flowers, the rose is probably the more complicated of the flowers because it has a lot of soft edges. The sketch that I gave you here are only the hard edges. So we're going to work on a lot of the preparation for this because you don't have the lines in for the soft edges. Now, if you don't know what a hard edge is versus a hard edge would be where this entire petal, the outside, would have hard edges. It's a separate object from this. But in this petal, you have a lot of soft edges because it bends. So there's an edge that goes right where the bend is. It folds. There's an edge where it folds. Those are soft edges, and that's what we're going to be concentrating on in this picture, is getting your hard and your soft edges correct. So I printed out the first one, and this is the small version. Now I'm going to make it even more complicated. I printed out a full large color version. This has the black and white version. You're going to need the black and white version, so print it all out. The color version is to glance at, and remember, I would recommend you using the one that comes from the computer, and if your computer is where you can sketch, if not, make a copy of it. Unfortunately, my colors never match. They're always brighter on the screen than they are when I print them out on the paper. This is just ink. Then we have the large one, and it is the large one that I'm going to be demoing. It is just an enlarged version of the one that's down here. But I'm going to take it a step further because I want to keep this. And this is just printed paper. I'm going to transfer the rose, this is a very easy rose. It was designed that way when I first drew it, and it is a very easy rose to transfer. And I'm going to be transferring it onto gray toned paper. And the paper that I'm going to be using today is the Strathmore Tone Gray Mixed Media. Now, using paper is as personal to an artist as their pencils are. I like Strathmore. Are there more expensive brands? Yes. Are there higher end brands? Yes. I find that the Strathmore is a nice middle ground as far as the paper goes. It's an artist grade paper. It's acid free. It is archival, and it is an excellent paper that's not overly expensive. Paper can be expensive to the point where you're buying it actually by the sheet. So keep that in mind. This is what I like to draw on. I've been drawing on Strathmore since I was in art school a long time ago. Long time ago. And I've always used Strathmore. It's just my preference. If you have your own preference, it's fine. Now, I'm using the gray toned paper, and what I love about gray toned paper is you don't fight the tones. It is extremely easy to go really white, and then it is extremely easy to go dark. It starts you off with that tonal balance that's in the middle instead of the white being at one end or a black being at the other end. So out of all the color papers to actually do your own art on, I prefer to use the toned gray. Now there's toned tan too, which is pretty good, but remember, you're going to be working with the warmer colors, your browns, your tans, so choose wisely when you're choosing your colors. You're not going to want to it looks better when you're using your warmer colors, using that color paper. When you're working with a gray toned paper, you really don't have to worry about that. You can go cool, you can go warm. So that is why I'm choosing this paper. Now, what is the best way to get this flower printed onto this paper? Obviously, this paper is too thick to go through a printer. So we're going to go to the next method that many artists use, because when you're doing sketches, you never know when you're going to get it right. And you just might like that one sketch that you did, or a piece of a sketch. So when I do my drawing and I'm doing a final drawing, often I have layers. And a lot of the time I am sketching on, instead of sketch paper, I sketch on, when I sketch pretty often, almost always on tracing paper. This way, if I like something, I just add on, I take that layer, I make it into layers, I use that layer, and I can add layers on and remove a layer. It's just the way I do it. Everybody does it differently. I don't normally sketch a full picture on just one layer. And then it becomes very easy to transfer it over to one sheet at the end. So in this case, I'm at the final picture. I have my final sketch, and what I'm going to use to transfer it is graphite paper. Now, there's many different ways of doing it, but there's many different ways of transferring. This is just one method. You can use this method with any picture that you want from a coloring book if you want to transfer it over onto better paper. I will leave all the links in the description. This is the paper that works best for me. Okay, I'm lining up my picture. I have it down. What I like about this is you can use any colored pencil, and the lines, whether or not you drew over a line, becomes very obvious. So normally I tape it down, but I'm going to do this all in one shot. I usually do recommend taping everything down, but this is not going to just take me long because it's just a quick sketch. So that was easy enough. And now I just remove the flower and the graphite, and my flower is transferred over onto my good paper. And it's as easy as that. There is no difference from what we've done before to what we're doing now. You've done this many times. You're going to follow along. You're going to pick one area, and you're going to follow it along with your lights and your darks. I'm just going to go the same way as we always did. I'm going to go and do the entire rows. And then I'm going to come back. It's going to go fast. I'm going to use hyperlapse because you don't need stroke by now. Do you have a specific skill that you want to learn? I'm always trying to learn different techniques, things that will make me not only a better artist, but a better teacher. Today's video was sponsored by Skillshare, an online learning community where millions of creatives come together to take the next step of their artistic journey. There are thousands of inspiring classes for the curious and creative on topics such as animation, film and video, fine arts, graphic design, and much more. Whether you're a beginner, intermediate, or an expert, there's something there for you. Right now I'm taking Jen Dixon's watercolor bootcamp class, and it just happens that it's on color mixing paint. Skillshare is created specifically to learn new skills in any desired subject. There are no ads, and the first 1,000 people to use the link in my description will get a free 1-month trial. Why not check them out? You've got nothing to lose except a missed opportunity. I'm going to lay down a little bit of yellow down here, and that's just, I'm using Sunshine Dawn, and that's just as an undercolor so that when I create that bright red, it becomes brighter. Now this is much lighter than the color that I will use eventually, but I don't want to put that dark shade on it yet. So this is just laying a color down. Now I'm using Prismacolor over here, and I'm using an oil pencil. You can use polychromos, but you're looking for just like a bright color, like a bright yellow. Now, the reason why I'm putting down a yellow and using an oil is because it's not going to mix that well with the red, and I'm going to be able to put the red on top of it. This is an example how you can use oil pencils to build colors and still keep your top colors differently. So you see how bright that comes? Now I'm going to do that in all the areas on the picture that are bright. Now why won't I use white? I might later on, but I'm trying to get this color and it's going to match into, this is going to go dark and this is going to have that undertone brightness that I'm looking for. Now I'm using a warm gray. Any warm gray, if you're using Prismacolor, you use your warm grays. Here I'm using warm gray 2. This is Starjoy warm gray 2 116 GS. And I'm going to darken up all the areas in here that I wanted that dark color. I'm not going too dark. We got plenty of tooth on the page and plenty of room to play with the tone. Now I got about 2-3 layers of the yellow. I've got the red mixed with the Prismacolor red mixed with the Starjoy warm gray. And I'm getting close to the tone, not really there yet. Now I'm going to take my red again, my crimson red Prismacolor, and I'm going to turn this all red. So now you have that yellow popping up through, and I've got 5, 6, 7 layers already on there. It's safe to use a little bit of thinner, and this will smooth it out. I'm only going to put it on this area here, and I'm using a small brush. It's the way I prefer to control it. Some people use a large filbert brush. This is just my method. I'm next going to change direction, and I'm going to start going this way, because if you look at the way the striations are on the flower, you'll have the striations going that way. The next thing I'm going to do is use a 90% warm gray, and this is darker than this gray, so it's going to push this gray into the background, and I'll show you one here. It's easier. See how this is darker right in here, and then this gets pushed into the background. So now I'm going over it with a darker gray, and that's the last step. I'm going to add in a little bit of white at the end. You could see that the yellow is covered up, so it's not a yellow rose. I'm sorry, it's partially burnished. It's partially burnished, so it's a little shiny. You can see that the yellow is covered up, but it's giving it a warmer glow, the red a hotter glow. Once I'm done and I add in the white, it won't turn as pink, because I don't want to turn this into a pink rose either. So the way I'm laying down the color is I'm always thinking of what's going to happen in the future. And this is what's going to give me the effect that I want down the road. So this is the last part, and I'll be finished for now with that one petal. Here's the point where it gets really easy. The first one is always the hardest. Now I'm just working my way around the flower, what becomes easier is wherever you have the darker areas, you could start with the gray. Because I've already set the tonal value down here. So I know what it's going to be. I don't have to be as careful. Wherever it's dark, you put the gray. Wherever it's light, you put the yellow. Then you add the red on top of that, and your tonal values will go straight to the same thing that's over here. The very last part, you add some white. Becomes much easier once that first beginning part is over. So I'm going to keep going.